Hello, my name is Nicole Parks, and I am with Elmira HOPE Alliance. Tonight, we are honored to have a very special guest with us, and also a part of Elmira's HOPE Alliance, Reverend Renee Sutton, Esquire, who also practices right here in Chemung County. And she's going to be talking to us and giving us a little background and training, actually, on how to prepare for voting.
So I'm going to take a little sidebar and talk to those people who may have a criminal record or criminal history in New York. I know that there have been some states that have had a lot of energy behind restoring the right to vote to people with a criminal history. So this is what the law is in New York, okay? So if you have a criminal history, who can vote? So if you were convicted of a violation or a misdemeanor, you never lose your right to vote in New York. You can vote in the upcoming election. If you were convicted of a felony, but instead of going to prison, you were sentenced to either probation or you were given a conditional discharge, you can vote in this upcoming election if you're not registered. The same thing if you've been discharged from prison and you've maxed out your sentence. So some people, when they leave, they don't want to leave on parole. They want to max out their sentence, so they're free to just do what they need to do. So if you're one of those people, you have a right to vote. If you've been discharged from parole, you have a right to vote. If you've received a pardon for your federal conviction, you have a right to vote. And the other thing that some people may not know is 2 years ago in 2018, Governor Cuomo signed a massive voting restoration pardon for anybody who is currently on parole but had a felony conviction. You should have gotten paperwork about it. If you didn't get the paperwork, don't know if you got the paperwork, I would recommend that you get on the website that I'll show you in a few minutes and see if you're eligible for what's called a voting restoration pardon. And if you are, it's very easy to get your voting rights reestablished in New York. So the only people with a criminal history who cannot vote in New York are people who are currently serving time or they're on parole for a felony. However, if you're on parole, getting your voting rights restored is not that difficult. It should happen automatically by law if you completed a maximum sentence in prison or you have completed parole. You don't have to fill out an application. You should be able to get on the website for the New York State Parolee Lookup, and it should show that you're in the clear to register to vote. Your local board of elections is going to look at the same website, and if it shows that you're clear to vote, they would give you a voter registration application. You fill it out, it should be no problem. If you have been released from incarceration but you're still on parole, you may need to apply for what's called a voting restoration pardon. Now, to do that, you need to have been convicted of a felony in New York State. So if you're convicted from a felony outside of New York, you do not qualify for this program. You have to be 18 years old and you have to be on active parole status and a New York State resident. Now, this is a conditional pardon, meaning that as long as you are on parole and doing well, you have a right to vote. If you violate the terms of your parole and you get sent back to prison, you lose your voting right until you either max out your sentence or you're re-paroled again at some point in the future. But that's the basics that you need to understand. It's called a voting restoration pardon. Those are easy to apply for. I think you just write it directly through your parole officer or to the New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision, and those are very liberally granted according to the law, New York State election law.
We thank you very much for that beautiful in-service and instruction about how to be prepared in the middle of this worldwide pandemic, how to be safe and prepare and make sure that our vote counts no matter where we are. If we're in a nursing home, hospital, if we are incarcerated. Thank you so much for letting us know what we have to do and when we need to do it. So be mindful, everybody, of those deadlines. And until the next time, Elmira's HOPE Alliance says good night. Thank you.